I'm going to have a look at two techniques in this video. I'm going to cover them both together because oftentimes I found that students use the name of the two techniques interchangeably, beginner students, and it's not really correct to do so. So I just want to try and clear up what the differences are between the two, and hopefully explain using examples why they're different. So the techniques that I'm going to look at are, first of all, I'm going to look at string damping, and then I'm going to have a look at another technique called palm muting. Now, where they're similar is that the basic premise of what we're doing with the technique is the same. So when we play a string on the guitar or play a chord on the guitar, we're going to play a note, a sound, and it's going to ring out until that string stops flapping and the sound gradually just dies out on its own. Same if we play a chord, A major, that's just going to ring out until the strings lose the energy and it gets quieter and quieter and it stops ringing. That's a natural process of how guitar strings work. With string damping, it's pretty much self-explanatory. We're going to dampen the string to stop it ringing prematurely. So rather than let it ring out until its natural conclusion, until it runs out of energy, we're going to stop it ringing when we want to stop it. So that might be because of the piece of music that we're trying to play doesn't require the note to ring out fully. So we want to stop it prematurely, so I'll play a note. This is a little E on my D string. So rather than let that ring out, I'm going to stop that from ringing. There's a few ways I can do that. I can do it with my right hand by placing that across the strings. That'll stop the strings from ringing. I can also play the same note and use another finger on my left hand, or my fretting hand, if you're the other way handed, to stop the note from ringing out. So it's as simple as that. It's using either hand, whatever we've got available, to stop that note from ringing out. Depending on what you're playing might determine how you need to do that. So on that example, I played the original note using my first finger, and because I've done that, obviously I've got other fingers left that I can use to lay on the string to damp the note. If I'd have used and played another note and used another finger, my fourth finger there, so I haven't got another finger left on this hand to damp it, so perhaps then I'd have to use my picking hand, my strumming hand, to damp the strings because I didn't have another option on that hand. The string damping technique works the same for chords as it does for single notes, and it's quite often used in songs to add rhythm to the feel of the song whilst the chords are being played. So as an example of that, I'll have a go at playing a song by Free called Alright Now, because that's got a great example of string damping on the opening chord riff. So it's just an A and D, so I'm going to play, basically the sequence is going to be those are the chords. It sounds nothing like the song because in the song the guitarist, I think his name is Paul Kossoff, is using string dampening to make those chords shorter and sharper rather than letting them ring out. So it would sound more like my sound doesn't settle perfectly for that song, but you can see the difference. Short and stabby rather than just ringing out. That's quite a quick little strum, but it works the same on every chord and every tempo, no matter what song it is that you're trying to play. If you want to cut those chords short or those notes short, then we use one of our hands, whichever one's most convenient to us, to stop those strings from ringing out. With the second technique, palm muting, it's actually quite similar because we're stopping the string from ringing out, but rather than, as you notice with the stopping it dead. With palm muting, I still want to be able to hear the note, and rather than playing something and then stopping it, with palm muting, I'm gonna mute the string whilst I'm actually picking it. So I'm deadening the sound as I'm playing it rather than afterwards. I recently did a video of 10, I think, famous simple riffs or something like that it was called. I'll put a link down below, because one of the riffs was Come Together by the Beatles, and that involved a little palm mute for the first two notes of the riff, which, if I remember, was. So the first two notes, I'm playing a couple of D's there high up on my E string. That's how it sounds just if I was to play it normally without any muting or damping or anything of that nature. So it rings out and resonates quite a bit. The riff without the muting, and then we had the palm muting on, just to the first two notes. So it gives those first couple of notes a little bit more of a flavour to the rhythm, rather than just letting them ring out freely like the other notes. Perhaps the way they wrote that riff originally was for that reason, to start off with a more of a damped, subdued feel, and then as the riff progresses, let it open up and ring out. Gives the riff a kind of emotion to it, as though it's going somewhere rather than just being the same. How am I achieving this effect? Well, the clue's in the name, palm muting. So I'm using the palm, the fleshy bit of my picking hand, my strumming hand, and I'm resting that actually against the strings whilst I'm playing the notes. So every note that I'm playing, I've got that muting effect on the strings. It's not that I'm playing the notes and then stopping them afterwards, as I was with string damping. I've got the strings muted a little bit with that fleshy part of my hand whilst I'm picking the notes with the same hand. So the difference being, as I've said, we're generating that muted sound, the palm muted sound, whilst we're playing the notes, rather than doing it in order of playing the note then stopping it. It's as with any technique, it's something you're just going to have to get the feel of. You'll either end up, when you start off, you probably end up just having too much muting, so the string, you can't even hear barely the string at all, which might work for some songs if that's the effect you're going for, but you want to try and get it so that you can actually hear the tone of the note, not just a percussive toneless sound. So if that's happening, then there's one of two reasons for that, maybe even both. I might be pressing on too hard and killing the string too much, or my hand might be too far up this way, because that makes it so that the distance between my hand and bridge is just too far, and the string just can't sound at all. On the flip side of the coin, if I'm not muting at all, if I'm just muting a tiny little bit like that, I'm not going to get the same deadening of the note. It's get used to how much pressure you need to apply to your hand. It's not a lot of pressure at all. It's more probably, I would say, about the sweet spot of where your hand lies, just up here near the bridge. I've got to be particularly careful on this guitar because it's a floating bridge or a tremolo style guitar. So if I put too much weight and pressure on there, the guitar is going to go out of tune like that, because I'll be pushing it down when I don't really want to be doing that. If you've got the other style of guitar, I did a video on different guitars, the fixed bridge guitar or an acoustic guitar, that's not going to be a problem for you. It's not really a problem for me because I'm used to doing it on guitars like this, which is another reason why perhaps these type of guitars aren't the best ones suited to beginners when you're just learning your basic techniques, and perhaps don't have quite the same control that you would have after you've been playing for a while. The palm muting technique, just to finish off with, everything I've done here has been on a clean sound. The palm muting technique is something that's really often used on a distorted sound to really make a little bit of variety in the riffs. So just to finish off, I'll play something on a distorted sound because it really shows the effect of palm muting. You can hear it quite clearly when I've got more distortion on the amp, and it's always a good excuse to be able to use a dirty sound. So I'll change my sound and I'll play another riff. So I'll play because it's quite popular at the minute. I'll play the Metallica riff, a little bit of the Metallica riff from Stranger Things. I'll do it without the palm muting, and then I'll do it with the palm muting, and then you can see what effect that has on the sound. So it's the very start of the song. So it gives that stopping sort of rhythm effect to it rather than just everything ringing out. So that's palm muting. That's the technique where we're actually muting the string as we hit it. It's different from the first one I described, which was string dampening, where we're just going to play the note or the chord. I can do it with a distorted sound as well, and then mute the string off. So two different techniques. They both revolve around muting or damping the string, but for two different effects that we're looking for. One is to kill the string completely. The other one, the palm muting one, is to change the sound of it as we're hitting it.